Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, the lunacy of RFK Jr. Also, is there a dark horse entering the U.S. Senate race? And Alabama is losing again on gambling.
Another 100 chips, please.
Changing 100?
That's it, Clark. Show him who's boss.
You lose, sucker. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, take me out to the ball game, investigative reporter and columnist at APR.
Hey,
y'all.
Josh, you're at the Biscuit Stadium today.
Yes, I am. Yeah, we came last night. We were APR was sponsors of the game last night, or one of the many sponsors of the game last night, and we had a great time. So I just slept here. Nice. They're very hospitable people.
Yeah.
I hear Sims got to throw out the first ball and he gave it to Andy Lou as a keepsake. That was so sweet.
That was very, very sweet. That was very, very sweet. Yeah, she got it. She got a couple of baseballs, and as a matter of fact, she's running around here right now like a feral ballpark child.
Well,
She
great.
does love baseball and softball.
Well, and we really appreciate the Biscuits and appreciate them giving us the opportunity to sponsor the game. And we were certainly glad to see our kids out there.
Yep.
throwing
Hagler
out the
with them.
balls,
Yeah.
Yep.
all that. And Josh supervising the whole thing.
I don't know about that.
That's
Chandler
chaos.
was in charge, but we had a great time. It was a good game. Unfortunately, they lost, but we stayed to the end, and all the kids enjoyed themselves, and we had a good time.
Well, it was an honor to sponsor it. I'd like to do it again.
And Chandler Hines,
Yeah.
as always, she's our marketing person. Chandler Hines always does the best job.
Yes,
She's
she set all of
amazing.
that up and did a fantastic
She's
job.
amazing. Well, let's talk about somebody who
Oh, God.
is not exactly doing the job that most people would want him to do, and that is RFK Jr. I would like to say he is the lunatic in charge of Health and Human Services. This man acts like a guy who had a brain worm. He is trying to cut vaccines. He's cutting funding to programs that will save lives, that's going to set the United States of America back decades in research. Countries all across the globe are terrified at what is going on here in the United States under RFK Jr. But Donald Trump selected him for this job because his last name is Kennedy.
Right. And I think over 1,000 people that still work there and did work there have signed a petition to get him to resign. I mean, we've got to think about, you think back to 1952 when over 600,000 children were struck with polio, one of which was my brother.
Yeah.
You know, and 21,000 of those ended up, crippled on iron lungs. I think the last one on iron lung just died a couple of years ago. We're talking about diphtheria, measles, like I said, polio. I mean, all of these things coming back if these vaccines are cut. And it's not that he's allowing them to be available if people want them. He wants them cut out completely.
Yeah. I mean, Josh, it is absolute lunacy. I think Bernie Sanders, during the recent Senate hearing, kind of put it best.
No, Bernie, like as he always does, boils things down better than pretty much anybody. And as I've told people many, many times, listen, you want to tell me you hate Bernie Sanders, but go out and listen to the words that Bernie Sanders says. If you're a working class American, and then tell me what you disagree with, and you also tell me what you disagree with when he's talking to RFK, when he tells him, "Oh, so you're telling me everybody's corrupt but you?" That's what you're saying. And it was, honestly, we do a podcast, the Alabama Politics This Week podcast, and this week's guest, one of our guests this week was Dr. Michael Sag from UAB, as one of the world's leading doctors and immunologists, and has helped develop many vaccines, including his work, which is world renowned on the AIDS vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And and he worked with a lot of these people, and listening to him talk, I realized that the media has done a disservice to people. And let me tell you how that is. We have failed to portray people working at the CDC, some of the doctors, some of the folks working at the National Institute of Health, some of these folks that are doing this work as the public servants that they are. Because as he mentioned in there are several folks who he's worked with for 20 and 30 years, people who could have made buckets and buckets of money working for pharmaceutical companies, working outside of the government in private practice. They could have done these jobs and made an absolute fortune. But instead, they have devoted their lives to this public service of developing and making sure that these vaccines and testing these vaccines and making sure they're safe and effective for people and protecting the lives of children and people all the way up through adulthood that are taking these vaccines. And this is what they've done. And now for those folks to be cast in this light of being bureaucrats or being people who are anti-Americans, who are working for the pharmaceutical companies as though they're evil people that are part of this game to do this stuff, is an absolute disservice to them. It's disgusting what he has done to those folks, and he is going to kill people.
Yeah.
He's going to kill your children. He's going to kill your grandparents. He's going to kill people by doing what he's doing. Mark my words.
These policies are dangerous to the United States. Mm-hmm. They are dangerous to the world, and yet our two sitting senators from Alabama, both on record supporting this man.
Very disappointed.
I would think that they would know better, but they are afraid, like everybody else, of Donald Trump, and they won't say anything. But RFK Jr. should go. He should be dealt with right away. We only got a couple of minutes, but this year we celebrate 62 years since the bombing at the 16th Avenue Church in Birmingham, where 4 young girls were murdered by members of the Ku Klux Klan. This year, Governor Ivey has sought to commemorate the life of Carole Robertson, who was one of the 4 teenagers who perished in that. And we commend Governor Ivey on that move. But Josh, as we all know, if it were not for Doug Jones, those who committed those atrocities would still be free and walking around. He prosecuted
19 sticks of dynamite. 19.
He
prosecuted them, Josh. Nobody before him would do it.
Yeah, no, Doug should always be honored for that, and remembered for taking that stance. He took a lot of heat and a lot of crap from people for doing it. Still does from some corners of the world for doing this, and for digging up the past and not telling people how awful things used to be. Why can't we focus on the positive? Well, you know what? Those girls had their lives cut short, just like so many lives have been affected by racism and by things that go on in this country that have cut their potential short. These girls had their lives cut short as well. And what Doug did was an absolute honor to them, and it should never be forgotten. And listen, there were other people that played a role in it as well, too. Okay, there were a number of civil rights leaders around this state and around the country who pushed for this and who kept pushing it and supported it and made sure it got done. And all of those folks should be commended for the work that they did for doing that. And all the folks who were on the other side of this thing should be treated with the respect that they deserve.
And I would like to honor them by saying their names are Carole Robertson, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, and Denise McNair.
And the reason we don't have a statute of limitations on murder is because it is never too late to find justice for those whose lives were cut short. But anyway, we'll leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, Susan, it seems like this U.S. Senate race to replace Tommy Tuberville is being led by two men that basically nobody wants, and that is Barry Moore, Representative Barry Moore, and outgoing Attorney General Steve Marshall. Now, Barry Moore is certainly the favorite in that race because, let's just face it, not many people like Steve Marshall, but people do like Barry Moore. But overall, just like many politicians, they have their detractors, and it's going to be a dogfight to get in there. So you and I were talking, Josh, the other day. What if a dark horse entered that race, somebody that no one was expecting, to shake it up?
Alabama loves its dark horses, always did. In fact, the name that kept coming up was John Merrill.
John Merrill, Josh. John Merrill has a comeback story that I think the people of Alabama would relate to, and he is the best, hands down, retail politician that I have ever known in Alabama. He and Katie Britt are great at that, but John remembers every name, your grandma's name. He remembers the last time he saw you, and he cares. And when he was Attorney General, the Secretary of State, that was a well-run machine. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't say here that Steve Marshall, Barry Moore, and John Merrill. I mean, honest to God, y'all, there's got to be a Democrat out there somewhere. I mean, for God's sakes. But yeah, no, you're right. Listen, for all of his faults, and we know his faults. We know his faults. We know what has taken place and things. John Merrill did the job of Secretary of State very well.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with everything that he did, but I felt as a Republican Secretary of State that he was about as good as we were going to possibly get in terms of doing the job and trying his best against the wishes of a lot of people in his party to implement some fairness. He held some people accountable for their things, some Republicans now. Republicans hated him, if you recall, at the end of his tenure because he held them accountable to the laws, So he did that. And in addition to that, there was a reason why Alabama got around the voter ID laws, okay, or the voter ID restrictions that had been passed down. And the reason why was because Merrill set up a system in which people could actually get a free voter ID card, okay, and made sure that those things were available and would go out and visit communities and had a mobile voter ID unit, which has since been disbanded, and made sure that people were actually able to go to the polls despite the laws that we all know are trying to restrict some people from going to the polls. vote.
Well, Josh, you remember he called you and I in when he was beginning to take people off the voter rolls, went through everything in detail about how those names were being removed or why they were being removed and how they were double checked, and made sure that we understood completely that he wasn't just stripping voter rolls. He was actually cleaning them up.
Well, the thing we know is that it's going to be a Republican because that's how people vote in this state. John is a Republican. He got elected the first time with like 63% of the vote. Second time, after all the scandal and all that had came out, he won 65, 67% of the vote, won 57 counties in Alabama out of the 67. And the thing is, look, he admitted that he committed adultery. He was ashamed of it. He talked to many of us about it. He spoke to the state about it.
He did.
And you know what? If you are a Republican or a Democrat and you can't forgive somebody, I think that something was wrong with you. His wife,
thank you,
is still with him,
Cindy.
and Cindy has been. They were childhood sweethearts, and if a man's foot slips, look, there's always a reason. If he repents and confesses his deeds, it's always
it's between him and his wife. It's none of our business, to be honest.
But I think. Listen, I don't know that he would even consider running. But I'm saying if John Merrill got in this race, it would be fun.
And he and Katie would be formidable about taking care of this stuff.
Well, I just if people can get over it, Tommy Tuberville is going to walk into the governor's office unchallenged. We've got.
Well, we'll see about that.
Well, maybe we keep hearing there's a Democratic challenger, and listen, I think that is one spot where there is potential, a potential win, but who knows? I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, either a win on the ballot or a win in the courtroom. But listen, it's I'll say this about Merrill. We had a long discussion last week about a candidate down in Walker County, Dustin B., and about how he, asked for forgiveness from folks and didn't fully disclose everything that had happened. And that's not been really the case with Merrill. Merrill has fallen on the sword and done that. And so I think that makes a lot of difference with people. And because I think a lot of people now draw a line at personal lives. And they say, listen, everybody's got stuff going on in their lives, okay? Everybody has something that they're ashamed of. You ask for forgiveness, you move forward. And, he didn't commit any crimes. And so, let's see how he acts. But I just think that there are better people out there for a lot of these jobs, okay? And I think that there are some people really need to take a hard look around at what's going on in this state and in the country as a whole and start paying more attention to the things that affect them and electing some folks that actually do the job and take this job seriously and stop with just the rhetoric.
And it's got to stop with the just voting for an R or just voting for a D. We keep saying that. But if you can't open your eyes and vote for the person, not the party. But again, this was just, it may be a exercise in futility to even talk about it. But I will tell you this, if John Merrill runs, nobody will outwork him.
Nope.
He is the James Brown of Alabama politics. The hardest working man out there.
Yep.
He will be everywhere.
And he's working for the people, not for himself.
Yep. He is. But again, we've seen stranger things happen. Robert Bentley should never have become governor, which is true, but he had Angie Horn. And when you have Angie Horn, your likelihood of winning goes up exponentially.
Absolutely.
Because she's going to fight tooth and nail for her candidate. But listen, whether the former Secretary of State, Merrill, runs or not, listen, he's paid his dues. We wish him all the best in the world. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Josh, you might as well have taken a baseball bat to people's heads this week because there were so many heads spinning after you revealed that the prediction market, and I'll let you explain what that is, which equals betting, really, is just sweeping the nation. And Alabama is so far behind, we can't even see who's up ahead.
Right. Prediction markets are a relatively new thing. And I think most people know about them, but they may not know that they know about them. But every time you see these market bets on who's going to be the leading presidential candidate, what company might do X next and things that you can place bets on, most of those things come through a prediction market source. And they have started now really getting into the world of sports gambling. You can, and the way they go about it, in kind of simplified terms, is you'll have two teams playing. You can buy a contract on the prediction of one team to beat the other. Okay, and depending on the percentages of the what they're predicting the outcome of that game to be, then that's how much money you can make. It works essentially the same as a spread on gambling and stuff, where you're betting on just the money line. But that has been proven as a way to kind of get around these states like Alabama, who have not yet legalized sports gambling in the state. Those wagers are very much legal in the state of Alabama and in all 50 states right now. They have the backing of the Trump administration, mainly because Donald Trump's son is an advisor for one of the companies. But still, they have also one in court in New Jersey, one in court in Nevada. They meet the definition of a financial market transaction. And so when you do that, then you can go ahead and say that these things are financial transactions and not sports wagers.
And the interesting thing to me, and Susan, this is the wild thing, you can make these contracts on anything, and they're out there. I mean, if you want to get a contract or place a bet on who's going to win the Oscars, who's going to win a Tony, who's going to have the next hit album, whatever, you can put your money down, and people who have expertise in those areas are finding that they're happy to put some money on these things.
Well, why wouldn't you be? I mean, when is the Alabama legislature gonna wake up to the fact that people are going to bet? They are going to find a way to gamble. They're going to find a way to bet on sports. But in the meantime, Alabama's making no money on it.
Right.
None. Not a penny.
No. And Josh, we're going to be flat in the hole. We're not going to have money to pay for things. We're going to be in the hole on SNAP benefits and a lot of things. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in the hole in the next year or so. And we've been speaking to lawmakers who actually listen to things and saying, you got a solution. It may not be the perfect solution or the solution your pastor wants, but it's a solution, and that is passing gaming.
And remember, they're passing it for people to be able to vote on it. They are not legalizing it.
Right.
They are passing a law that allows the voters to make the decision.
And the majority of people in Alabama want to vote on it, and even greater majority wants to pass it, Josh.
Yeah, no, it's we're in danger. What this does right now, the prediction market thing, what this does is it infringes, when these companies like FanDuel, DraftKings, some of the major sports betting companies get involved in these things. What it's going to do is it's going to open up the sports wagering market for them. They're going to come in, they're going to offer these bets on games in the state of Alabama. And that ship is, for the most part, going to have sailed, because now those people have a monopoly on the gaming, just like some of the folks had a monopoly on electronic bingo or some of the other gaming that was going on in the state. And that's why this fight has been so convoluted. So now you're at the point where you're going to introduce another deep-pocketed major player that's going to interject themselves in there to protect what they have invested in the state of Alabama. And it's going to make it that much more difficult for us to pass a comprehensive gaming thing that benefits all Alabamians, because you're right. Right now, we're not making the tax revenue off of this stuff.
No.
And until we do, we're never going to be able to address the problems that gambling creates that people love to talk about. We don't have any of that revenue coming through the doors right now, and we have nothing to do with education or some of the other problems that we have to address and some of the shortfalls that we're going to have in our budgets.
And, you know, we've talked to several Republicans over the last few weeks, and they were like, yeah, we know. Do we have the votes? You know, is Sam Gavan up in the Madison Huntsville area going to tank it again? Is, you know, this kind of thing. The thing is, if you got leadership, whip those votes, you know, and get it done. And don't come up with this, oh, well, are we going to reward those who cheated all these years? Name the ones who cheated, because it isn't the McGregor family that cheated.
The ones that are cheating are the ones that have it in the back of the gas station.
It wasn't Green Track cheating. It was, those people had constitutional amendments, and Bob Riley just screwed them over for political reasons.
Yeah, and you're right. And the other thing is it's not, these things, they always love to blame the Porch Creeks for this stuff. This is not the Porch Creeks tanking gaming or whatever. Now, the Porch Creeks protect their stuff just like everybody else does. This is up to your lawmakers to do this thing and to get this thing right. And listen, you're going to have to work with the parties, just as you should have to work with the parties, because these are all out. The Porch Creeks, McGregor family, Green Track, all these folks are Alabama businesses that bring millions and millions of tax dollars into this state and employ thousands of people in this state.
And
work with them, get it done, and say you helped Alabamians all the way around.
And all they've ever asked for is for things to be fair, to be treated equal in this state. And, you know, the lobbyists have made millions and millions off this fighting. Well, there's not any fighting anymore except in the legislature. And the leadership needs to step up. You know, Governor Ivey has 1 year left in office, a little over a year. And I think if her team would take the lead and go in there and whip the votes like they did for the gas tax, you could get it done.
I agree.
But, and I do not, you got to look and say, okay, it's not the greatest way to fund government, but guess what? A broke government is no way to run a government. So, I mean, who wants the final word on that one?
Because that's where we're headed. I mean, you're looking at $208 million a year in SNAP benefits. We're not talking about Medicaid. We're not talking about health insurance. We're not talking about rural hospitals closing. I mean, we're in a crisis and we need funding.
And you know what Alabama normally does when they're in a hole? They keep digging. Anyway, you've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.